Well, I guess there's no reason to delay it any further. I think it's time we should go live, see what the fish peeps are up to, see what's happening. We got all sorts of new stuff. So absolutely everyone that's here. I can't really see who's here because we're doing this on StreamYard, so I don't really see how many people are watching. But I thought I'd go live today because Biggs doesn't have an opportunity to go live very often. I had my lunch break. I just finished a live conference call with work. I thought I'd be perfect. I'll do a quick lunch, then I'll go live for an hour, and we'll see what happens. So thank you for joining us. For those that are here, for those that may be watching this afterwards, thank you for joining us. There's going to be lots of neat stuff that we're going to be addressing today. So some of my quick house cleaning things. Biggs like to take care of stuff. Fish room is coming along. It's coming along, albeit a lot slower than expected, but it is definitely coming along. I have a couple of guests in behind the scenes here. They're going to be joining us in a few minutes and stuff. And the first one was here. And I'm sitting at a table with my children's desk in front of me with a fish box with a laptop on front of it, lights all around me in front of it. They really one of the only tanks that's actually set up. And right behind me is the pool table, and it's filled about 3 feet high of all sorts of stuff that's needed for doing in the fish room. But we moved about 3 of the tanks out the other day. A lot of the fish went to my local wholesaler, which is good because it allows me to go shopping once the world starts opening up a bit. We can start setting the tanks up again. But I think this weekend I'm going to be able to the point that I'll be able to take the carpet out of that room for 2/3 of the room. I basically go from one wall all the way to the laundry room door, then to the other side of the laundry room door, and then just beyond that is the other wall of racks of tanks. But we can get up to there, take the baseboards off, patch up walls, whatnot, get the flooring down, and we can kind of get something, make it look like we're making some progress. So I'm pretty excited about that. There's 3 videos on pertaining to different aspects of that and all sorts of things that are coming out right away. But there's a few things that are going to take some precedence. Some more things that, like the one that came out today. Honestly, I just finished filming it yesterday, but I've had that gift. If you haven't seen it, the gift that I got from a dear friend in New Orleans, that came just a few weeks back. So I had to make sure that was a timely matter and get that one out quick as possible. So that's the stuff that's kind of happening. It's absolutely been crazy here. There's literally tarantulas all around me, not loose, don't freak out, but there's like cages of tarantulas everywhere right now just because of the amount of work that we're doing. And right after this, while I'm in my next conference call, I think I'll be using the microscope and I'll be sexing tarantula molts, and that sounds really exciting. I know you're all jealous as hell. So thank you, everyone. I see Stefan's here and Jason's here. Kyle Jordanella's here. We got lots of people here. Rainer's here. Wonderful. So couple of quick things. My phone's going to keep going because I am still at work. It's just I'm on my lunch break. So I just muted it. I got to talk about a couple of things. First off, membership. Now I put up memberships, and I got to apologize to people. There are, I mentioned it to Megan. She's one of my fierce spider supporters. And the thing that's funny is you guys, some of you may know this, is Biggs is an absolute tech legend. He has no concept of how to do half these things. The fact that he's able to even go live on his own is just a struggle. So, but I might have to change the membership thing. Originally, I'm supposed to be launching memberships and I'm supposed to be launching Patreon. And I really had no concept of how either worked. And all the stuff that I loaded up for membership was intended to go for Patreon, and all the stuff that I loaded up for Patreon is supposed to be on memberships, and they're vastly different. Now, memberships is a platform that is for people joining your channel that support you, and it all goes through YouTube. So same as super chats that people often donate money during a live feed or so forth. YouTube takes a portion of those proceeds, about 30%. And the creator never sees that stuff, and that's fine. It is what it is. It's still a blessing, and I'm very blessed to have anybody give me anything for any of those type of things if they find the value in it. But Patreon is an entirely different animal, and you can have many different levels in it. So I went there this morning thinking, okay, well, I'll just go and cancel the membership thing and start it over and just put it at the one normal price and behind the scenes and all the benefits that you'd get for doing that. And I go there and there's like 6 or 7 members already. So I thought that was pretty funny because I didn't even know how to find out there was members. But while we're here, we may as well thank my members. Ryan Hinter, thank you very much. This is my Isopod team. So you guys must love my Isopod. So I got Ryan Hinter, Mary Page Flynn, Carrie the Crazy Fish Lady, and my friend Jason from Down Under at Total Tropicals TV. You guys have all been in my Isopod group, and I thank you from my heart. Absolutely means the world to me. And then I have a fierce spider supporter, and that is the none other than Megan. And you'll see Megan in a minute here. So thank you very much, Megan, for taking care of me. Now, other news, some of the things that you guys have heard about before, and we want to get through these things quickly, is the farm channel. It's not ready to go yet. I haven't done literally anything since I mentioned it on December 31st. The reason being is there's really nothing going on with the farm in the winter. It's just literally trying to keep the animals alive. So it's so insanely cold here sometimes. Not bad right now, but like it can plunge down to the surface of Mars type temperatures. So nothing really exciting to film or do anything. And I haven't found a way to migrate the videos that are already here onto another channel. Now, if there's a way to do that, somebody in the audience knows how to do that, by all means, share it with me, because I haven't a clue. Biggs is not up for doing that sort of stuff. I have no idea what to do. So basically, I figure I'm going to be starting the farm channel kind of from scratch. We'll do an intro video, but I think we're going to leave that really till spring. By spring, everything's easy and it's much funner outside. Right now, it's just chaos. The world's upside down. So we're just going to leave it. Okay. Now, the big news. This is the one. This is the exciting one. This is one we have so many guests for already. One of them's actually taking time out of his day. He's taking his time out of his day at work. One of them probably, I don't even know what the schedule would be. Add 8 hours to whatever time it is here, 8 or 9 hours. And that's what time it is for that individual because they're calling in from the Netherlands. So today, Biggs is going to announce publicly that he has agreed to speak at his first convention for 2021. I think it's hilarious because the convention I've been asked to be the keynote banquet speaker at has nothing to do with my area of expertise. They want me to talk at a catfish convention. I said, you know that I'm just going to poke fun at all the catfish people. And they said, that's exactly what we expected. So game on. So Biggs is going to be going and speaking at the Catfish Cataclysm. And I believe it's in Madison, Wisconsin. But instead of me talking about it, let's bring in Megan. She's one of the organizers of this event, and she can tell us everything we wanted to know about the Catfish Convention. Good morning, Megan.
Good morning, Chris. How are you?
So you got to tell us a bit. One, why would you want Biggs to come and talk at a Catfish Convention? That's just wrong. That could go so bad in so many ways.
Oh, no. I was looking for a roast kind of thing, and you just came to mind right away. So I figured you could roast the catfish people.
That can't be good. Yeah, I see Kyle in the chat. He says, I should go to Spencer's shop, which is my local wholesaler, and buy the Jow cat, which I just saw in Ohio Fish Rescue's video. It's like $1,000 catfish. It just kills everything. I can buy that, and all the catfish people will be jealous of me. Yeah, I don't have a house to put it in, though. It's too big. It gets too big. It's too mean. So what's the big deal about this convention, Megan? Where is it? When is it? What's going on? What's happening? Do we have speakers? Is there auctions? What's happening?
Okay, well, it's October 8th, 9th, and 10th. And we have 4 speakers coming new. We have Jeremy Bosch, Eric Thomas, and Jacqueline. Jacqueline, can you like split the screen and put her in? I'm not sure how to say her last name.
Doesn't sound like a very properly organized host. All right, let's bring in some more.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
There we go. There's right there. Now, Jeremy's going to be talking on what?
What am I going to be talking on? I'm going to be talking on woodcats, of course. Can't not talk about woodcats.
I'm going to say we're going to miss that talk.
And then I'm also going to talk about our trip to the Rio Caqueta in Colombia. A lot of fish are coming out of that area currently, and I'll share some new fish that we found on that trip. So, and a fish that was previously collected in the area and is kind of, not in the hobby, but people know of it. So, more to come on that.
Okay. And Jacqueline, what will your topics be?
Well, I'm going to talk about my ancestors, ranunculus, and another species closely related, like L255.
Okay.
Very cool catfish. And my second talk will be about my way on the road to success and all the difficulties you come across and all the things that go wrong. And I'll explain what I did. And then I hope a lot of aquarists have something to share then. So
Do you normally participate, Jacqueline, in the L number days in the UK?
Yes.
And Germany and Hanover? Yeah.
Yep. Sure.
Yeah, I got lots of friends over there too. There's Ingo and Hansi and what's the other crazy guy, the young guy, Daniel. He's a nutcase. He likes birds more than fish.
The bird guy.
He's crazy. He stayed in my basement and drank $400 worth of beer in a day.
Oh, yeah.
Insane.
Well, you've never invited anybody from Norwegian regions?
No, we have basically in Winnipeg we have the Dead Fish Order Society, and it's basically instead of it being like an aquarium society, it's more organized like a social club. And we bring in speakers from anywhere in the world that we want to hang out with, have a good time, and it's a forced sit-down meal with a world-renowned speaker in a small setting. But we've been on hiatus we haven't had a speaker. We're going on 1.5 years, 2 years now because of everything that's changed in the world, because we have to be together to do it. So we haven't done anything since. But we've had Ingo a couple of times. We've had Daniel. I brought Daniel. Andreas Tonke was here. Hansi's been here. Hansi went up and see the polar bears. He was here for like 2 weeks. Great. So the other speaker we have is Eric Thomas. Thomas or Thompson?
Thomas.
Okay. I know he's going to be talking about bumblebee cats. I don't know the genre. And what else is he talking about?
Microglanus.
That's the bumblebee cats. Is he got another topic as well?
He's still working on the second topic.
Okay. I don't even have a topic. My topic's going to be abuse. Because catfish eat poop, right? That's all they eat. Poop. That's all you need to know. No?
No.
That could be a starting point for you.
Yeah. All the nutrition they need. Like we got Highland cattle and we've got Cooney pigs. And the Cooney pigs, their entire diet is grass-based. Well, what do you think comes out the other end of the cow? So they have no problem with that whatsoever. We barely have to feed them.
Well, that was the thought with zebra plecos when they first came in.
Everybody thought that.
Everybody thought they were algae grazers, just like some of the other species. And
I remember breeding them, and I think it was like 1991. And they would have come through New York through John Lombardo, I believe it would have been. All the sexy plecos were coming in through that area all that time. Nobody could keep them alive for the longest time because they didn't know what to feed them.
Yeah.
So what else we got going on? What's else on this event? We got 3 speakers here. We're only missing 1. If we had 1 more, I don't know where we'd put it. This isn't the Brady Bunch. I don't know how to make any more people fit on there. But if we add 1 more, what else is going on in this event?
Well, we have rare catfish auctions. In fact, Jeremy is helping organize one of them.
Big auction, yeah.
Yep. The announced auction.
And it's not just a regular auction. You guys do it's like a rare fish auction. You guys get some of the really obscure species that they would normally not see at an aquarium society, donated by breeders, distributors, wholesalers, and stuff. You guys really get a lot of really exclusive stuff. People like Jeremy, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be bringing fish too.
Yeah, we'll have on Friday night. We'll have wind sales, and some of the best breeders in the country will be here. So it's a really good opportunity to get some of those rare things and not have to worry about shipping them in the cold weather. And, well, I guess October's not freezing, but yeah. So.
Your audio's terrible, Megan.
I was going to say I can't understand her. I wasn't sure if it was just me or.
So no, we're going to have some of the best breeders in the country there. So it's a really good opportunity to get some rare things and see them in person and meet the breeders. And it's really fun.
I have 4 children. I don't know if I'd be best breeder in the world, but thank you. I don't have a shirt or anything or an award, but 4 daughters. I guess that's a good accomplishment.
Yeah. Okay.
Just a few more away from BAP, right?
Exactly. I needed 1 more, and I just denied 1 more.
So yeah, that's Friday night from. Let me look at the schedule. I believe 9:30 to 11.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for the schedule to pop up here.
So do you have? Is there an actual do you have an actual show part as well, where people bring in their fish and show it off?
Oh no, we're not having a show. Sorry, I thought you meant a vendor room. We are having a vendor room. And we've got a couple different sponsors that are going to be there. And actually to say a shout out to our sponsors, Freshwater Exotics is donating $1,000 worth of fish Swiss Tropicals always donates tons, so I don't know exactly what they're doing this year, but Tristan's Tropical.
They're good people.
Yeah, they are incredible. Stefan's a wonderful person.
Yeah.
Tristan's Tropical Fish here in Wisconsin is donating a ton of fish, taking care of fish, and also one thing that nobody really takes advantage of, but he's willing to, for cost, ship fish back to people's houses. So rather than having to, try to pack them up and have them in your car or on the airline and worry about what's going to happen to them, they can actually just be shipped directly to your home.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And then Advanced Aquarium Systems is a store in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and they donated a really cool little group of catfish and a bunch of vintage collectibles.
Okay.
Like from Penplex and things like that, like a scuba diver that kind of swims around your tank, that kind of thing.
Years ago, we would have all passed up at an auction, but now it's popular because it's retro.
It's kitschy. It's kitschy. And then, of course, Amazonas Magazine is donating 2 subscriptions, and they are giving us a half-page ad in their magazine, that comes out in July. So
that's really cool. Really cool.
And there are probably going to be more coming on board, but that's on our website, which is catfish-cataclysm.com.
So just because we had some audio issues at the beginning, for everybody who wants to know, the event is taking place in Madison, Wisconsin, and it's going to be on October 7th, 8th, and 9th. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then you just go to the website.
8, 9, and 10.
8, 9,
and 10. Well, whatever the Friday, Saturday, Sunday is, right?
Right.
Yes.
So that's very, very cool. Now, the thing that everybody really wants to know is what about the cichlids?
Well,
we'll feed them to the catfish.
No. That's fighting words.
I'm in a big bowl for catfish, and then
I haven't built the talk yet. You know that, eh?
Well, I'm feeding the fire then.
Yeah. All right, it's all good. So, does anybody in the chat have any questions for this gang? I'm pretty stoked and excited to see them. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Now, I agreed to doing it because, like you, Jacqueline, we're in the same boat. Even though I'm not far away, but I still have a massive border to cross. So we're in the same boat that I was saying, like, as long as the world's a little bit normal and 1, I can legally cross the border, and 2, my family feels safe that I can cross the border, then it's going to happen. But
sure.
That's what we're hoping for. So everybody follow the rules, listen to the people, do what you're supposed to do your part, and hopefully we can have this wonderful, wonderful event. So no questions from anybody? No? He wants it in Tampa. Is there a chance you can move it to Tampa?
That would be a bit of a stretch, yeah.
That would be a no.
Well, people are often saying, "How come you can't have this in another place?" Well, it's actually a club that's sponsoring it, Madison Area Aquatic Hobbyists.
Yeah.
And I frankly would love to be actually in the upper Northwest, but unfortunately, I'm in the middle of this country in the cold. So.
All right. Well, there's a question from the chat. Jordanella is asking every one of you guys, what is your favorite catfish? If you were to narrow it down to one individual catfish or species.
There's too many. I will. The person that was asking that about the Tampa question, I will say there is a Tampa Bay Fish Club in your area, so be sure to check it out. They're pretty active. So
he's a member of that club. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got you. All right. Never mind. Just saying. Favorite catfish? That's a tough one. Maybe I know this is kind of like a cop out, but maybe the one I haven't found yet. Maybe. But no, I'm really attached to my Duringlanus altae. It's a species that we just collected, and so I'll be sharing that in the talk, one of the talks. So I'm really excited to have that species, and it is starting to reproduce in my aquarium. So I'm excited for that.
Colombian species.
It is a Colombian species. Yep.
Cool.
So,
Megan,
that's my favorite right now.
Megan, you're not what's your favorite?
Well, I guess this isn't very glamorous, but I have a group of 9 L134s.
There's nothing glamorous about any catfish.
But I really do like them. They come out, which is different than most plecos. So,
Jacqueline, was yours beyond Cistrus renoculus?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but as Jeremy says, there's too many. So, but yeah,
now fighting words in the conversation. Favorite cichlid to feed the catfish? Mean. All right. Look forward to it, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Questions. Again, we'll have some more fun as we get closer to it, because we're going to have to get together as a team and really, really pump the event using YouTube and all the different social medias and stuff. We'll start getting more excitement as we get closer, but we're still like, what, 10 months away?
Hey.
It's just like next weekend. It's no worry. So
it's good that it's a little ways off. We need some time.
Yeah. All right, guys.
The world has to get better. Appreciate it.
Yep. Bye, Chris.
Take care. All right, there you guys have it. There's the actual people, the catfish people, the experts. We brought them all in. We were just short one, but it didn't really matter. We delivered everything that we needed to deliver. We got some serious people, some serious breeders of a vast group of fish. You're not going to be covered just one group of fish, but there's a nice diversity of fish. There's other experts that are very, very regulars. There's actually some that are very, very local to that area. That are very, very well known for breeding certain groups and certain families of fishes as well. So trust me, I've never been to this event. I've heard very, very highly of this event. So when I was asked, it was an immediate yes, as long as I could. So I'm really, really excited to go, because I've heard absolutely nothing other than 100% positive about this event. And it's in Madison, Wisconsin. So there they got good beer and they got cheese curds. So it's kind of like having a Canadian poutine. It's, it's close. So it's going to be a very good time, and hopefully some of you guys can come. Oh, James is asking a question. He's asking me a question. Oh, he's asking me what the best catfish for a novice and what type of tank would you suggest for it? There's lots of, I think everybody that was in the group here that we brought in for speakers, I think a lot of them would agree. There's lots of catfish. I think that's why catfish are endeared the world over by a lot of people, is there's many, many species of catfish that are suitable for vast sizes of tanks. People always tend to think of those big predatory ones where you're going to keep one single showfish in a tank, and there's lots of options in the pilmodelids and all the different mistus cats and everything like that they'll fit that need there. All over the world, there's predatory cats. But when you think about nice social type cats, it's very, very hard to beat any species of Coreodorus. And they're all South American. They're all social. They need a sandy tank, soft bottom, soft substrate. They prefer to be in groups. The bigger, the better. They need clean, well-oxygenated water. They prefer a little bit of moving water. But honestly, just even keeping some of the ones that people may think are very basic and boring, like the bronze Coreodorus aeneus, and some of those other ones, honestly, you're going to get the same level of fascination keeping those. And if you keep them healthy and feed them well with a little bit of supplementation of some frozen or some live food, I think you'll be rewarded by them probably breeding within your aquarium with very, very little effort on your part. And I think once you've bred one Cory, it's going to snowball for you. They'll grab your heart in a way that you will be suckered in, and you'll be doing all sorts of Corys. And I've done a few videos with some Cory people, and when I'm going to be down there in Madison, Wisconsin, I'm very much hoping to be able to go and see two other people, and their specialty is Coreodorus. So hopefully to have some videos of that as well for you. On the other side of the coin is things like some very, very basic, and I don't mean basic in a negative way, but a lot of the Ancestris. Now, the one that Jacqueline talked about, Ancestris renoculus, is the one they often sell as the Medusa Pleco. It's a very specialized Ancestris. It's a bit more different shape. The other one gets much larger. It's very, very flat. It's a bit more specialized, as I mentioned, but very, very uncommon is that species ever bred in captivity. And she's been successful, and we're looking forward to her sharing her experiences with that. But a lot of the very basic Bristlenose Plecos, you see them everywhere. They take a bit of time to mature, but once you get a sexual mature male and female, they can be extremely prolific. And they can also be, same like Corys, they can also be profitable. If you have a good relationship with a local pet store, Coreodorus, in my opinion, or Bristlenose Plecos, in my opinion, if you just keep any of them, and honestly, even the basic, the better, because they'll sell day in, day out at a pet store. I've had people ask me many times, Biggs, what's a fish that I could breed that I could make money off of? And usually it's newer hobbyists and stuff. They somehow think that they're going to corner the world and they're going to compete with Florida farms or East Asian farms. It's just not the case. Don't keep fish if your goal is to make money. Any of these people that are in our chat or watching this feed, I think almost every one of them could agree that we do it for the passion and the love of the fish. We don't do it for making money. But if you did want to try and find a way to kind of offset some of your costs, I would think Coreodorus and the one or two of the basic ones would easily pay for your fish room if you had a good relationship with a local store. Now, on the other side of the world as well, it'd be real hard to beat some of the basic Synodontis cats. Synodontis multipunctatus, known as the cuckoo cat, is something that you can keep in your cichlid tanks, in your Rift Lake African cichlid tanks, because they require using the cichlids as a host for their young. So when the cichlids are breeding, they swarm in while the cichlids are in mid-breeding and fertilizing, and they will lay their eggs and fertilize their eggs at the same time, and the cichlid's unaware of what's actually happening. It's like all of a sudden like a cage fight. It just happens so fast. The cichlid then takes their fertilized eggs into their buccal cavity or their mouth, the same as they do with their own. And then they raise them, and the nice thing about that for a catfish is that the catfish mature faster, they hatch faster, and then therefore they go through their yolk sac faster, and based on their metabolism, and then they would also consume some of the cichlid babies. So by the time, if the cichlid kept them longer term, when they release them, you're going to have more catfish than you're going to have cichlids. In the same lakes as these are Tanganyikan, same lakes as you have some other Synodontis, Lucipinus, and there's another one, the name escapes me because I'm not really a catfish guy. But Lucipinus is another really, really unique one, just as easy to keep. And if you want something a little bit bigger, the one sold as lace cats. And who wouldn't love also to have the one that's often sold, and I apologize, I don't remember the names, but the catfish people will know what it is for sure, is the upside down catfish. A trio of them in a nice little community with basic tetras. They are absolutely wonderful cats. So hopefully I answered that for you, James. Did I get anything else? What else we got here? Rainer is asking, which isopods would you recommend for my paludarium? Humidity is 80 to 100%. Temperature is fine. Humidity's up there. The problem being your humidity's high. I'm more concerned about the acidic levels in regards of your substrate. Paludariums, they often get fairly acidic. And if it's fully planted, the acidification for the plants isn't as much of an issue, depending on what type of plants you have in there. But the species that tolerate about the highest level of humidity would probably most of the Cubaris species. Now, granted, my experience is somewhat isolated to Armadillidiums, which I have several, Priscillios, which I have several, and Cubaris, which I have several. I do not have any of the new one, the Marilunas. We were supposed to acquire some of those last year, and the entire shipment came in dead, so they're going to reship again in the spring. It's the nature of ordering stuff like that from overseas to Canada. But they would also take the higher humidity as well. Priscillios, in most cases, are going to be rayed out. They need exceptional air movement, and they need to be able to at least get away from it. They're usually generally a lot drier. I'm sure you'd be fine with several of the different Armadillidiums. The only problem is some of them, for me, are just so exceptionally prolific. And like, to me, I think in a paludarium, once they took hold and they started going, unless you had a gecko or something in there that was using them as a food source, I would be concerned that the replication rate would be too high. But in the same token, there is some science behind it that a culture of isopods, and it is a subject of something of a video that I'm working on right now, and it's going to be a bit controversial when it comes out, because some of the subject matter I'm going to be talking about, people may agree or disagree, but it's definitely going to open up the conversation. But I'm losing my train of thought of what the point was. Biggs lost his train of thought. Back up a sec, he'll come to me. The other species that would definitely work within your paludarium would be the dwarf whites. Any of the dwarf species tend to tolerate the higher temperatures, which you don't have, but they'd also handle the moisture level without question. So I don't remember what my other point was. If somebody can jar my memory based on something, I apologize what it was. But yeah, Rainer, basically I'd be more concerned. Cubaris would handle the humidity without question, but it'd be more that they generally come from limestone type caves, and they require a bit more of an alkaline surface or a substrate. And I think that may be a factor for it. Corys, we're talking about Corys. Pectoral is a great little cat. Yes. Okay, Chris, everyone always say this feeds need clean water. That fish needs nasty toilet water, because that's the one that I want. Well, there are fish. It depends on. There's no fish that need nasty toilet water. However, it's understanding water chemistry and understanding the basic parameters of the water or where that fish would come from. Now, in South America, You think of the Amazon, you think of this, large river, and 99% of that river, all the little offshoots, all those smaller rivers and stuff like that, there's areas where, not 90%, forget the percentage, but like there's lots and lots of areas where there's strong current. You see the pictures of the Xingus and the Tocantins. That's not the whole rivers like that. You see areas of high, fast water. And then you also see areas with lots of very completely still. And when the forest gets flooded, all that water is completely still because it just goes for acres and acres and acres into the forest. It's completely still. And with all those other chemical changes within the water chemistry in those environments, you get pH drop, you get all sorts of things. The water chemistry changes so drastically. Those fish are sometimes more tolerant of lax water quality in our regards to the way that we keep them. Lake Tanganyika is a huge body of water. So when we talk about those fish, like the Synodontis that we were talking about earlier, that's a huge body of water. And even though we think it's super, super popular, it's such a massive body of water that they would never, ever deal with any levels of organic matter whatsoever, like we're thinking in a glass box of an aquarium. So I don't know if that really helps or not. Any fish are to be enjoyed. Very, very true. Yeah, black waters with low oxygen. Exactly, Stefan. Okay, Jason is asking, any recommendation on how to get Synodontis lucipinus to use the cave with the marble container beneath it? They seem to prefer to stay under the rocks instead. Well, I've bred those years and years ago, and I've seen lots of different contraptions people have made with the marbles and all sorts of stuff. Without a doubt, the best breeder I've ever seen doing this was doing it on a commercial scale in Florida. And they didn't set up the tanks for any other purpose than strictly massive production of that species. And it was very, very similar in the way that they had it set up to breeding several different of the egg scatterers, rasboras, and some of the barbs and stuff like that, is they had like a media that the fish would use or assimilate as being plant life or something. In this case, it was used those coarse bristle brushes. And then attached below that was actually like a dollar store funnel that attached through the bottom of the tank to a pipe that drew water constantly. It was constantly taking water out of the tank by vacuum and pulling water down. Now, the top of that funnel was covered with that kind of cloth that you see at the craft stores. It's kind of a semi-rigid plastic. It's got little tiny squares. My grandma used to knit yarn through it and make different decorations and coasters and stuff through it. I don't know what else to call it. I'm not a crafter. I have it. I use it for making breeding traps and stuff like that. But it has little tiny holes that the eggs can still go through, but the fish can't go through. So it's got that positive draw of water that takes all the water to that spot. Now, the fish are attracted to the mop or thing that they're going to breed on, and that's what draws it to it. And that's how he had something set up for these guys. They had no real shelter whatsoever. I think he had above that, he had something like a clay flower pot, like the saucer of a clay flower pot that was above it that shielded it, so they felt a bit more secure. And they could hover about that, but they could literally spawn right below that, right above the saucer. And his warehouse that he had this stuff in was not full sun or anything like that. It was like a wooden building. It was completely enclosed. So the building was relatively dark all the time. So for the catfish standpoint, it was really, really good for large production numbers. And to me, if you were just trying to breed them and said one and done so I can get my bat points, I would probably look at doing something like that along those lines without having to modify your tank too much. Anything else? I don't know who this Stefan bloke is. Steven. Sorry. All right, Steven. Steven with a PH. Now, did I miss any questions in the chat? Because I told you guys at the beginning I was here for you guys, whatever you wanted to talk. Big Tank Hank is here. Nice to see you, buddy. There's an isopod dude. He's a big isopod guy. He knows all sorts of isopod stuff. Him and I are moderators for a couple other big isopod people. We've got people here from Sweden. Nice to see. They're here to support some of the European people for the catfish. Nice to see. What are catfish people like? Yes, Kyle, I'm making my 1,200 gallon. It's not 1,200. I think it's going to be closer to 1,700 gallons by the time it's done. And actually, the tank is going to be right there in front of me. where I'm set up right now. But let's just do the quick math and figure out what that comes out to. Let's see. So it's 144 inches is 12 feet times 72 times 36 divided by 231. That's, what is that? 1,600 gallons. And it'll probably, and the tank is intended so far, the planning phases, I've got the plywood, but for the planning phases so far, I've got, I'm thinking of building the tank on a stand that's going to be 3 feet off the ground. I've never done that high before. All my tanks have been off the ground before. Joey, King of DIY, would say, "Why don't you just build it on the ground and build it 4 feet like he did with his Monster 2000 and stuff?" And I thought, that's not really, I don't enjoy tanks like that. And also, as much as I loved the big rays when I had them before, I'm not in a situation, and I won't be in a situation in this house where I'll be able to change aspects of my fish room, which is over there. I'll have the 12-foot tank over here, and my fish room's over there. In my fish room, the Lair, once the flooring's done and everything's set up, I'm really only going to have about 4 aquariums in there. They're going to be 160s, 120s, and that sort of size. But the problem being with keeping rays is rays, you really can't keep the sexes together. And that's the experience that a lot of people have done that have had negative results with it, is keeping them together. When the males become sexually mature, they are absolutely relentless at trying to spawn with the females, to the point that they will continuously bite their disc. And I've had 30-inch females that have literally passed away because I had nowhere to put them. And that is extremely irresponsible fish keeping on my behalf. So to me, as much as I loved it when I had the rays, when the males became sexually mature, it was a gong show. And it was like I couldn't react fast enough. And because of that, and if I would ever have a ray again in the big tank, I would only have the same sex with no intent of breeding. And keeping fish like that I think in the next 10 years or so, I don't think these fish are going to be as prevalent in our hobby as they were, because, you know, if you watch people like Big Rich at Ohio Fish Rescue or any of these guys that have these monstrous tanks, a lot of these fish shouldn't be kept in captivity by most people, because most people are not willing to go to the lengths that those people are to keep those fish and give those fish the proper homes. Even though my 12-foot tank, my 6-foot base sounds like a monstrous tank, we're talking a fish that might roam for miles in the wild. So I don't think that's going to be what we're going to do. But I intend on putting that tank 3 feet off the ground. And the reason for that was really for you guys, is the way my basement is set up here, I don't intend on putting a couch up against it where you could sit. I intend it that I can actually literally put my desk chair in front of it and do live feeds with that giant 12-foot window behind me and fish swimming back and forth. Kind of like the idea I got. This is only a 70. This is just temporary housing for the buffalo heads and some of the Mexican live bears temporarily. And the video on what's going on with this is coming out. But that's to empty out everything out of that room. But I still very much think that I want to do it 3 feet off the ground. That also gives me, remember, I'm 50, turning 51 this year, and I'm looking at, I don't really want to crawl around on the ground anymore. I don't want to be on ladders way up high in a fish room trying to catch stuff when I did killies and I did all these things and stuff. I just don't have the desire or the energy to do it on that scale. Not because my interest level isn't there. It's the fact that I got to be respectful of my time. We have a farm. We got 4 kids. I travel for a living with my job normally. And as soon as the world opens up again, I know all that's coming back fast and furious. And then I will also start traveling again for you guys through YouTube and through all the speaking engagements that I had to cancel this past year. So I really don't want to take on more than I can chew. Every tank, as I've mentioned in other videos, every tank that's going to be in that circle that's going to be in the lounge there, or the Lair, is everything's going to be raised up, and it's going to be at the bottom of the tanks are going to be at desk height. So I could literally sit there at a desk and swirl around, and I can see all the tanks, all the fish at that kind of same level now. And that's what I really, really want to get to. Same with the big tank. The big tank, I still have full intentions of doing a good quality Central American riverine system. I have a very dear friend that has some very, very exclusive fish somewhat put aside for me, waiting until the world opens up, waiting until that's ready for them. But I'm beyond excited to be able to acquire those fish for that tank if it comes through. Hopefully it does. And that will be kind of the kickstart for it. And then everything else after that will go into that. I'm debating whether or not I want to enclose the entire tank, which was always been my original intention, and then just framing it and having kind of like a big bar, a big slab of wood ledge that you can lean on and enjoy the fish. That's what I've had before. But I'm also tossing around the idea of having it kind of semi-contained and maybe having lots of plants above it. But I'm kind of I'm not really kind of torn as to whether I want to do that or not. I like the idea of lighting the big tank with only a few spotlights. So it kind of creates the ambiance of a riverbank where there's going to be dappled shade and some of the plant life. And I might actually even go as far as to buy some silk plants that I can hang out over the water surface that'll mimic the shadows of those plants. So I'm pretty excited about it. It's coming. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of time. And I've started on it, but I've also kind of put it on hold until that room's done first. That room has to finish first because right now, struggling to get content right now is a bit tough. One, I've got next to no fish to film here. Two, I can't go to anybody's house and film fish. Three, my local wholesaler can only access about 3 airports in the world right now, so it's causing all sorts of problems and challenges. I got some amazing friends out there that'll send me fish in a heartbeat if they could ship them to me. And that's really the problem right now is you can't ship anything. So the world will change. We're all getting better. Everything's going to be fine. We'll get back to a normal world one day soon, and we'll all be here for it. What else we got here? You guys keep sending me stuff. All my messages are going on all these things. 16 gallons is a good home for a jow. No, I'm good. Atkins Nature Aquariums, lurking while I float, acclimate new fish. I got fish shipped in next day yesterday. How would you acclimate new fish from the mail? Well, the first thing I'd want to know is before I even ordered the fish, and I don't want to throw you under the bus here. First thing I'd want to know is I'd want to know the water parameters, rough water parameters, hardness, pH of where they're shipping the fish from. And I'd also want to know whether or not they're using oxygen. That's the critical thing. And then also the main factor that you would know is regards to time that they've been in that bag. Now, sometimes if you're, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus here, but I'm just saying if you're ordering from like a Florida farm or if you're ordering from somebody in Florida and you're up north near the border like I am or something like that in the States, and it's small stuff and they know they're going to be packing with oxygen, they might package it up the day before just based on their schedule. Maybe Pure Later or FedEx picks it up first thing in the morning. You don't always assume that they're just packaging it up and then taking it right away to them. That doesn't work on a big scale. So you want to know those parameters. You're going to want to, temperature is one thing. If it's a breathable bag, you can't float the breathable bag. You have to put the fish from with the water into a jug, and then maybe we're going to drip acclimate. But because you need to know the hardness and the pH of that, that's really, really critical. If we're dealing with sensitive fish that need higher pH, all that, and the pH drops, you add water to that, and you're going to release all that stray ammonia into it. You could kill your fish before they ever hit the tank. Then you got the other school of thought, the people that have worked in transshipping and shipping fish all over the world on a large, large scale. If there's not a huge, huge difference, and I'm talking 7 to 8 in pH is not 1 degree, it's actually 10 degrees. And it's a big switch. But fish can tolerate certain levels of switch. And I'm not saying every fish can, but certain fish can. Most fish should be strong enough they can handle that. If you're dealing from a reputable dealer, captive bred or long-term captive, or fish that have at least gone through a quarantine period and they've kind of established and they're eating well, they should be all fine. But what I'm getting to is a lot of these big wholesalers on a large scale, as long as the temperature's close, they got them out of that water as quickly as they can into the clean water. Because you run the risk of taking your water and adding it to that bag and having a crash. It's honestly, sometimes it's just quicker to do it than just dump them in. Steven's asking to see some fish. Steven, I have next to no fish. And Steven, the other factor I'm always faced with is the reason I do not go live very often is because of my my internet feed. I'm using an internet feed. That's why I thought I'd try it today. I've never done one during the day. I thought I'd try it. Usually when I used to go live when the world was normal, I did my live feeds always when I was on the road. And I can't do that while we're kind of in lockdown. But literally right now, this tank has like 60 fish in it. You can't see it because everything's been set up like a day ago. But there's a big group of buffalo head, Steatocranus cassiorius, the family is in here. And then a bunch of the Xiphophorus Montezuma swordtails. There's a whole group of them in here, all the young and a few more of the adult females. And I don't even know where they are, but they're all hiding because they got some big ugly dude in front of them. And in the room there's a 120-gallon planted tank. It has next to no plants in it. The entire surface is covered with tarantulas and all sorts of stuff, house plants and stuff for builds coming up. And then right beside it is the bottom 160, and the bottom 160 has all the Central American stuff that I kept back. So it's got the tuba, the murnay, the bulleri, the nicaraguense, whole bunch of random stuff. It's working good. Thanks, Kyle. That's good. I honestly think it's because my internet feed, by the time 7, 8 o'clock at night, I think it's very, very challenging for the feed to handle. I'm not really close to the way that, like, I'm right on the very outskirts of my internet service provider because I live out in the woods, and I have this giant pole that comes off my house with a little disc, and it has to point at where the signal's coming from. So it's challenging. So if it's working good, maybe this will be something we might do a bit more on the regular. But the challenge I'm always faced with is I'm at work right now. So, I can only do it if I'm going to do it during my lunch day, because I've got to be able to handle emails and customer inquiries, because I can't go and visit people right now. So let's just make sure I'm not missing something. Who else has joined? Okay, I see everybody there. So no, you can't see no fish. We're going to call you Stephanie now. That's what we're doing. You like the idea right to the floor. Yeah. No, I don't want it 6 feet deep. 6 feet deep changes the whole pressure ratio, and then I wouldn't be able to do glass front. I definitely have to go to an acrylic front. And I honestly have zero experience working with acrylic and trying to bond acrylic to other materials and stuff like that. Now, that doesn't mean I can't do that route, or I've just never had any experience with it personally, but that might be something for a conversation I could have with Joey, because he's done all sorts of random stuff. Joey, I talked to him earlier today about the possibility of kind of doing something with him. He's mentioned it to me a couple of times before, want to do stuff, but I want to make sure we're doing something that's at the right way, at the right time, and something like that. And he's actually working at home right now, working on one of his projects. He was doing it. He says, I'm absolutely covered in stuff right now, so I won't be able to make it. So, but I'm not going to give away any of the surprises, because that's his thing. Okay. It's working good. There's my phone beeping again for me. Have you seen how LRB introduces fish? No, I haven't seen how Lucas introduces fish, but Lucas is such an exceptional fish keeper, and he's very, very laid back. Him and Lou over at Father Fish, they have that very old school style aquarist that is so missed and so lost in today's world. I think I wouldn't be, I bet you he probably does the same thing. He probably just drops them right in right away and get them to acclimatize right away. If I'm wrong, I don't know. I haven't seen. He's such a great guy. We had a great time when we were speaking together in one of the events a while back. Les Wilson is here. Now, last time when I went live, apparently I was talking about all sorts of stuff. And when I went live last time, I wasn't watching the feed because it was just absolute chaos, because I had all these people. I'd never done it before, where I just opened it up and had all sorts of people coming in. And I had no concept of what was going on in the chat, because I had people on deck the whole time coming on. We were just having a random conversations, and we were talking about stuff. I never even noticed Les was there. So nice to have you here, Les. Wally from Supreme Gecko. Did you hear the news, Wally? You know, I was actually going to mention it to you first. I just never got around to doing it. But Wally, I'm coming to see you. I'm supposed to be there in October, and I thought maybe before going there, I might fly into Milwaukee and do stuff with you. What do you think about that, Wally? Should we do stuff? Should we have some fun? Do a live feed? Do some crazy stuff? I think you're up for it. You're up for it already. You know you're already up for it. So what else we got, guys? Any other questions we got? We're at 48 minutes. We still got about 10, 15 minutes if people got any other questions. I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover. We covered the Catfish convention. We covered all my news. Anybody got questions in regards to breeding fish? Or how about this? Does anybody have any ideas or concepts or things that they want to see in regards to videos? I have a large laundry list of video topics. Now, a lot of my laundry list, anytime an idea comes to me, I put it on my little notes section on my phone, and it's a huge list. And the one that came out today was something that was on my laundry list, and I just never had a way to really release it. And I was talking about the different forms of scales on fish, and ganoid scales in particular is near and dear to me. And then when I got that special gift, I thought, hey, that just opens the door. Now we can talk about ganoid scales. And I have all sorts of people. I'm very blessed to know lots of people all over the place, experts in all sorts of fields, or people that can just contribute stuff in so many different ways. And bringing Gavin, the Dr. Gavin Hankey on board to talk about that was really, really cool. But me and Gavin also have about 4 or 5 other ideas of things we want to bring to the table. And it's just, I want to know kind of the feel is what people are thinking about that. I have videos on deck that I haven't released yet on carbon, salt, RO water, working with water, and different things like that. But I view it the same way as when I go and talk. They sound like boring conversations. I don't really want to be that. But if some people genuinely want to have some more educational focused type videos once in a while, I'm fine with doing that as well. I can take it to whatever level we want it to be. And we've got all sorts of experts. We've got people like Les Wilson. If anybody ever wants to know about fish nutrition, there's your guy right there. He knows it. We could do something with him down the road, or Les could do it on his own. We can do all sorts of stuff, whatever you want. Have I ever done a video on adjusting pH or hardness? No, I haven't, but that is all, Wally. That is all something that would come into play in my discussion of using RO water. And the RO water is the reason I use RO water on a large scale is I used it even when I lived in the city. Reverse osmosis water really gives you the purest form of water. But most people, like I use it for my isopods, I use it for watering my terrariums and my vivariums and stuff. But the problem being in an aquarium level is a reverse osmosis water is extremely volatile. It needs to be buffered in one way or another. Otherwise, it can do all sorts of stuff. To me, like I use a product by C-Chem called Equilibrium, and it's a nice stabilizing agent. So I like using that product. And there's lots of products on there. It just has to be the one that I use because I can buy it in a big bucket. But you can take RO water and make whatever you want out of it. And that's the reason I really like it. And I think that is absolutely tantamount to the success that I've had over the years with breeding a lot of obscure species that maybe most aquarists don't have success with. It's just taking a look outside the box, the glass box that you work with, and say, okay, what am I missing in this puzzle? Because you guys have heard me talk about it before. I view breeding tropical fish as a puzzle. And our goal is the puzzle master is to figure out how the pieces go together, be it nutrition, be it water temperature, be it water chemistry, be it social aspects within the confines of the tank, the way the tank's set up for it, everything. We talked about Lucipinus a little bit earlier. Those are all types of things that we have to consider and how to make that work. So RO water to me is critical, and it's one of the biggest factors for success in doing certain things. But if you don't know how to use RO water, you could theoretically be setting yourself up to do some trouble with your fish. Yes, yeah, that's the one. The Tormentosa is the little dwarf whites. Or is it too warm? No, dwarf whites actually like it warmer. They are probably the only isopod that I have, Rainer, that does not really thrive for me. I have them in my vivariums and they're okay, but in my master culture, they don't really thrive. And it's because I almost treat them like all my other isopods. I kind of forget about them because I don't really need them to explode, but I put them and inoculate all my little tiny, even my little tarantulas that are in little tiny Rubbermaid containers. I put a few dwarf whites in there just to be bioactive and stuff, and springtails and stuff. But those would work great. I think those are great. I'm honored to have you here from Austria, my friend. I've inspired you to do research my first tarantula. I love the green bottle blue and the Carabina versicolor, both exceptional choices. Carabina versicolor is a very slow growing one compared though. I'm worried about getting in over my head with an arboreal. I really like Brachypelma boehmei. Boehmei is a stunning tarantula. Now I have a Brachypelma smithii, was one of the tarantulas that came in on the surrender and stuff like that. Mike, I love it that you're into it. Honestly, I can't make you decide which one you're going to like better, one or the other. But I think for your first species, either buy an adult female of whatever, or something that looks like it already. Do not buy a sling right out of the gate for your very first one, and ensure that it's a female, because if you buy a male and you're all excited and it only lives a few months, you're going to be like, what did I do wrong? And you might have done nothing wrong. It might just been an old male because they don't live as long. But all the Brachypelmas, all the Mexican stuff, they grow so incredibly slowly. So I don't know if you'd get the same excitement out of that. Arboreal stuff is not necessarily more exciting. It's just different. Like my big Regalis is literally right here beside me. And even though I set her up in that big tank, and as happy as I am with giving that nice big environment and stuff like that, I haven't even, nobody's ever commented on it, but being a tarantula keeper of long time, it doesn't need that big of an enclosure. And if I put it in a smaller enclosure, say, oh, I could have used a bigger enclosure. It doesn't. No, it doesn't. This is an animal in the wild that it might be the size of my hand, and it'll occupy an area this big for the whole life. That'll be its hunting grounds. Once it's established its space, it will never move beyond this area. It'll stay in that area its whole life. So I could put it in, it's in a 12 by 12 by 24. I could easily put it into a 12 by 12 by 18. I could probably put it in an 8 by 8 by 18, something like that if they made that size without any issue whatsoever, no change whatsoever. I still very much, though, want to do the idea, like I mentioned in the video, of Petco, the dark dens type style, where he had that side that was wide open. Because for me, the viewer, I have to actually look in the side of my environment. But I have some more tarantulas coming. They're held up right now because of weather to ship in. And these are terrestrials, faster growing terrestrials that they'll burrow, but they're also active by day, but they're a little bit different. And to say what's the best one, Kyle has a group of Balfouri. Kyle also has, and there's probably the perfect example. Kyle has the salmon pink bird ear. It's readily available. It's colorful. If you're into handling, it's a nice docile species. Curly hairs, if you want curly hairs, get the one that says Nicaraguan. You want the actual curly hair tarantula, Chilean rose hair tarantula, and avicularias like you had the vicularia, but you want the sexiest, most sought after avicularia right away. And it's fine. It's not going to be any different than most of the other avicularia types, even though it's not really an avicularia, it's a carabina. It'll be fine. To me, like, you can't beat an OBT. An OBT, he's out, he's social, he's crazy aggressive all the time, but like, that's part of the fun. You're going to see in a video coming up where I'm going to be addressing certain aspects of the way that I do my tarantulas and the way I keep my tarantulas. And some of the hardcore people out there are going to go, oh, poser, doesn't like this, doesn't like that. And it's going to be some conversations. Same as the video I'm going to be doing on the isopods that's going to be coming out. It's going to be somewhat controversial, but it's the way that I do things. And there's a reason behind the way I do these things. So hopefully you'll check that out when it comes. But that'd be, Kyle would probably agree. That'd probably make you salmon pink bird ear and a curly tail. If you wanted to go into an arboreal, an avicularia or the carabiner is fine. But the carabiner, you're not going to find anything other than a sling. And a sling for them is like the size of a nickel. Like, it's a little tiny thing. What else we miss here? We still got some time, guys. Yeah, you don't want to, when you're thinking arboreal's one thing, but try and stay New World. The venom capacity of a lot of the old world stuff is a lot higher if you're uncomfortable with that. But I will address some of those aspects in it, because like one that I absolutely love is I have a couple of Lividium, the cobalt blues. They're beautiful. They come out every single night. They're in one of the giant fish tubs, like fish containers of fish food, and they tunnel all the way down the side to their little thing. And I can see the whole tunnel and the spider the whole time because the thing's clear. He's fine as long as I keep it somewhat shadowed, that it's not sitting in bright light showing that side. He's fine. And he comes out every night. He's there on top. They're great. It's actually a she. That's the one that turns nice bright blue. What else we got here? Yeah, those arboreals aren't bad starters. Yeah, you're right. Speed and jumping. That's all part of the fun. Speed and jumping in tarantulas. Good. Well, yeah. Another ones that you could think of, they're terrestrial, is any of the ones from Nandu. They're generally going to be a bit more aggressive, but they're not super darty and flighty or anything like that. I have a big male Nandu chromatus. I have a big female Nandu Tepepii. She's great. She's no problem at all. The chromatus is a jerk. He wants to be a jerk the minute you open his container. But he's not jerk like OBT jerk. He's a lot of display. It's defensive display. It's not aggression. He's just saying, just leave me alone. And that's all you need. Good morning, Adele. How you doing, lovely lady? Is this morning or evening for you? My knowledge is so diverse. My knowledge is messed up, Wally. I got so much stuff that's useless in my brain for no reason. My Brachypelma boehmei is already rude. Now, for the fish people out here, Brachyboehmei, those are all your big Mexican, people call it Mexican red knee. Boehmei is the one that has the mostly the red, I don't know the actual common names. I don't deal a lot with common names, but I don't know if it's red leg, but a lot of the leg has got that reddy orange color. It's a very, very striking species. All the Brachypelmas, though, mostly, the nicest thing is Mexico has, without a doubt, the absolute best in the world captive breeding program for CITES appendix animals such as tarantulas. And there are some seriously exceptional tarantula breeders in Mexico for their species. And I know in Canada, I can't speak otherwise, but Canada, they just did a massive CITES order for tarantulas. And when I say Canada, I mean Canada as a country, because it's every single person that deals in tarantulas in Canada, that sells tarantulas in Canada, has all the Brachypelma species for sale. And they're all roughly the same price. They're all relatively cheap, but they're all really, really tiny. And I'm looking at a tiny, tiny sling of any one of those Brachypelmas. You're looking at like a 6-year, 7-year investment before it's going to start really looking like a spider. And I'm like, I don't have enough time in my life for that. My goal with going into the spiders is I enjoy spiders. I enjoy all facets of nature, like I've told you guys, isopods, whatever I can find out in the wild when I travel or even at home. But I need stuff that I could really showcase with you guys through video, through pictures and stuff. And that's what really stimulates my interest level as well. So me going and raising a whole pile of slings are going to take years and years and years. That's not really in my interest level at all. I'm not saying I want to have that instant gratification or that reward. I don't. There's honestly only two species on my list of tarantulas that I if I get the opportunity to acquire them, I'm jumping on it. And one of them is very, very expensive, and that's the Brazilian Beauty. That's the Celadonia. And I just missed out on some of them. The last two sold, and I know who the jerk is that got them because he puts pictures of them all the time. They are available in Canada right now through one of the other distributors, but their price is so far out of line, it's crazy. And we're talking like a half-inch spider. It's going to be about the size of a dime. Absolutely crazy, but they're very, very striking, and they don't get very, very big. The other spider, I think I can only access through maybe Poland or some of the European breeders and stuff like that. And I can't think of the name. It's called the blue fang tarantula. The genera starts with E. Tarantulas, again, is all new. So for me to get my brain trained on the Latin for all the tarantula families and stuff, so much has changed. It's the screensaver that I have on my computer. The genera starts with E, and the Latin name for the species is cyano something, meaning blue, and it has these really, really pronounced blue fang area. So that's one that I definitely want, but that one I'm going to have to buy some small ones. I would love, like Adele's talking about, peacock spiders. I would love some peacock spiders. Jumping spiders, those super cute little jumping spiders. And the same guy that I know that got the Celadonia ones here, he's also got a bunch of different types of velvet spiders, and they are right on the line of cuteness factor. And I know that's what I said cuteness factor of those jumping spiders with those giant eyes and stuff like that. They're absolutely gorgeous. So those are all things that I would consider. But right now, I'm not in a position. Yes, Rainer's got it. That's exactly the species I was looking for. Epiphanobopus cyanogonanthus. Yeah. Gonanthus meaning teeth, cyano meaning blue. Yeah, that's the one. It's an outstanding one. Eventually I'll get to the point, and I don't know, maybe that's a total lie because Billy Biggs is not a tech guy whatsoever, but maybe we'll get to the point that when I'm doing these live feeds or we talk about something, I'll be able to share those pictures or something. But hell, I'm using StreamYards, and it works good for the chats, and it works good for the service, works good for me for everything. But the one thing I don't know is trying to do it off the actual platform of YouTube. I've completely forgotten how to do that. And then the other one is OBS. Never used it. Hey, if one live feed person showed me how they use OBS, I'd be locked. I'd be good to go. I'd know how to do it, but I have no idea to use it, and I don't have the time to learn because all I do right now is try to keep up with the content for you guys. So, yeah, velvet spiders. I like the ones that web heavily. Exactly. They're awesome but they're little. Like they're little spiders, but they're really, really cool. We have a native, I don't know if it's a true web or an orb weaver here, but we have one big, not a tarantula, but a true spider native to here, and it gets big, like the body size. I'm going to say toonie, but nobody knows what a toonie is except for the Canadians. But it'd be about 1.5 inch and a bit in body size. It's a big, blocky spider, and it makes a huge, beautiful web. and they're native to here, and we see them usually every season. But I'm thinking I might go and try and find some of those this year and see if we can't set one of them up or something like that. And like watch them build that massive thing, give them one of the big enclosures and just see what they do and see if we can keep one of those through the winter the same way. I don't know how we went to spiders all over the place, but we went all into spiders. This was fun because I didn't even share this anywhere on spider groups. I got all sorts of people with spiders and all sorts of stuff we could bring on board. I just never thought of doing it yet. Yeah, Metallicas were really, really expensive before, but now they're cheap. You can buy slings now. I'm looking at the idea of like, because the big P. regalis, the big indoor and ornamental trout in that one, and I mentioned the enclosure is a little bit big for it and stuff, is I think the idea I want to do, because I have two of those enclosures that go side by side in the proposed new rack, is I think I might put her into a slightly smaller enclosure. It makes a bit more sense where she's going to use kind of most of the vivarium. And I think I want to do some communal arboreals in those ones. I don't know if I'd go right to the end and go to Metallica just based on price, but I know through Europe and I know through some of the different people that are breeding them locally in Canada, not necessarily local, but within Canada, I know that the price does drop if you're buying a group. And I would probably be buying a group of 6 or 8 to put in one of those units. Or I might just start the other way and go with either Ornata or Regalis and do the same sort of thing. I think that'd be kind of cool. You do run the risk, though. You know, they're not the same as Balfouri, the one that Kyle has that is, you know, known everywhere over the world, that it doesn't kill each other. Tarantulas, for those that do not keep tarantulas normally are never kept together, ever, for any reason. They will just, the one will eat the other, and it's nature. It's the way it is. Breeding is always a very tense moment when you introduce one to the other and see if it happens. More often, a lot of times that one of them gets consumed. It happens. But doing communals is kind of this new thing, but they all have to be fed real heavily to make sure that there's enough for everybody so they don't start predating on each other. Yeah, Adele, I'd love to come there and go playing with all this stuff, but you wouldn't take me because a lot of this stuff is crazy and you don't want to be near any of this stuff anyways. Hello, Fish Chick from Thunder Bay. Thunder Bay is a place that I normally go to for work, but I haven't been able to for a while, but thank you very much for joining us. Catface orb weaver or cross orb weaver, all sorts of stuff. So I apologize, Addicted to Fish Chick, that you've joined in and all of a sudden the chat's gone 100% from fish to 100% tarantulas and spiders. But that's the way it is. We do a nature channel. We're focused on all sorts of things of nature, isopods and all sorts of things. I actually had, Rainer, when you mentioned that about the Balfouri, I had the opportunity just this past week to get a group of about 1.5 inches Balfouri. They only had 3 that were growing up together. And I thought, the price was okay, but it wasn't anything I was like, I need that and I need to do it right away, because I don't need anything right away. I have too much stuff as it is. It's absolute chaos. I don't want anything more to take care of as it is. But once it's set and done and we're kind of set up, I do have a change in the room from the original plan, that the desk and everything was going to be in there and that was going to be my office. But since I've set the desk up out in the family room, it actually works way better for doing a lot of aspects of my job. So I'm probably going to leave the desk out here. And that basically opens up about a 5-foot spot in the room. And so now... Just last week for work, I was away, and at that store, this is a store that I've taken and brought them a bunch of isopods and stuff. I came home. You can't see it, but it's kind of over there. Can you see it? I don't know, but there's another giant beast. You can see that yellow trim that's right there. That's it. You guys know about the Beast Vivarium. It's 3x3 by 18. Well, I got its 2-foot cousin right there behind here. That one's going to be an entirely different build. We're probably going to change up a lot of stuff in the Beast Vivarium. I'm not happy with certain aspects. I'm very happy with others. But this one here, what I want to do, it's not here. It's over the other side, isn't it? No, it's that way. I don't know. Everything's backwards. My camera is all over to my right. This is my right here, guys. But what I want to do is I want to take that one, the 2-foot one. It's tall and it's tall and it's not as wide. It's only about this big, but it's 2 feet by 18 by 2 feet. It's nice and tall looking. And I want to change that. And that one's going to be primarily all Asian influenced. And I'm primarily going to put all my Nepenthes carnivorous plants into that one. And I kind of have an envision of what I want it to look like, but I'm not touching that. I'm not even taking the wrap off it until we get closer to it, that I actually have a spot for it. But it has a spot. It's going to be planned. I know where it's kind of going to go, but also in that space is going to be a nice Balfouri communal. something along the idea of what Petco's done at Dark Den. But I have some different ideas for that as well. I've seen a lot of unique things on the net, on social media and stuff, and I got some different ideas that we'll see if they pan out. We'll get there. So, any other questions, anybody, before we call it a day? I got to get back to work. If a spider sits its 8 little feet in my house, it cops the cat. Spiders are friends. Spiders are your friends. It was the first attempt at a vid. Changing things up as you go and gain experiences normally. I'll just keep things going. It's not my first attempt at a viv. I did these things years ago. I just never did anything on that scale or with those type of things. I've done all sorts of things. Kyle. I'm just badgering him. It's just bugging him. But yeah, no, he's right. That we took on that challenge. One thing, people that know me, my last name's Biggs. Everybody knows that everyone just refers to me as Biggs. So it's almost gotten to the point I just kind of refer to myself in the third person. Everybody just calls me Biggs. And one thing that Biggs does is Biggs does not know how to do anything small. I never have. To me, this is a little aquarium. This is a 75. For me to do a nano tank fully planted, that is so far out of my comfort zone. I don't even know where to start. Most aquarium plants that you buy that are small still get big. So how to do something on a small scale, I just do not know how to do that. I've seen some crazy, super inspirational, stunning, beautiful small vivariums and things like that. And it's just like, I haven't a clue where to even start with that. I've got a skull vivarium that's upstairs, that's on the windowsill, that's maturing. I did the whole video of it planting and everything like that. But the problem is I can't access almost any plants that are suitable for putting in something this size. There's next to nothing available to us where we are, not only right now, but also with everything that's going on in the world. It's just very, very challenging. And we're also going into the cold time of year. We're full into the cold time of year. It's very challenging to even ship stuff. I just saw a guy, I can't remember his channel. He has an exceptional channel. Mike Tatula. Kyle, you probably know who I'm talking about. He just posted a video the other day of he did an unboxing video of some live vivarium plants, and he put them all out on the table. And I think the title is, "What do you think $1,000 of vivarium plants look like?" And it was this little tiny selection of plants, but they're super specialized, unique little plants that you can get for small little vivariums. And he does primarily dart frogs and things like that. And the real reality is, to get any started in these things, you just got to buy one. And if you know how to take care of it and culture it, it'll grow and mature. So in my little greenhouse type thing that I have on top of the 160, I have just kind of one of those seedling trays with the dome. I have a couple of species of Megralvia. Now they stay small, but they require kind of a constant humidity all the time, and different types of mosses. And Kyle was very generous and gave me different types of cuttings of 2 different plants. Totally forgot the name of them, Kyle, because I wasn't going to. They're in the thing there. I'll get them from you later when I need to. But they're there, and they're thriving, and they're growing, and they're sending roots out everywhere. It's like a little propagation tray, and the whole bed of it is just filled with sphagnum moss. Works great, but the minute I take them out of there, they got to go into a similar type of environment to grow as well. Some can be hard enough, but some can't. Yeah, hair grass and book. Yeah, whatever. You're a jerk. Planted nano, yes, do it. Well, I did that one for the Rachel Leary Scrapscape, and that thing is such an embarrassment to look at now. It's still there, but the water will drop down like 4 inches, and all the plants will be above the water. They'll start drying up, and I go, oh, maybe I should add water to it. I still have never put any other animal. I've never put a shrimp, a fish, nothing in it, because it was always in an awkward spot, and it's always been a spot where there's just too much going on. That's why that was one of the factors of me deciding to say, this is crazy. The amount of stuff that you got going on here is just too much. You can't focus on anything. And that's where I started making the seeds of change were coming, where to get the room ready to make some changes. James has got some ideas. Tank oxygen, needs in a hospital tank, situations that require higher HO2, and is only bubbled O2 and O2 mixed to increase the O2 in solution. All awesome ideas. I'm going to have to go back and type those into some of those into my thing. I got some ideas on a couple of them already. Oh, okay, Kyle's got more stuff for me. That's good. Some of that red Megralvia, good. We need some of those. We only need little pieces. When I put those Megralvias originally into the Beast Vivarium, it works good, but I ordered some new fans. Kyle will remember this. We were talking about the fans. The Beast Vivarium part of the reason for the big changes are going to happen is the way I literally have a fan mounted in the center front top of it, and it blows down. And that's a very unnatural way for wind to work. So I don't really want to do that anymore. I want it to be more of an organic, natural flow. So I've ordered a few different types of muffin fans, but of course, ordering from Amazon, they come from China. And this, I feel like they're being walked here. So they take, I've ordered them about 4 months ago. None of them are here yet, but they'll get here eventually. And I ordered several of them to put in this one plus for other builds. So I'm more excited about that. But until those arrive, I don't really want to make too many changes in there because I still need some air movement. Even though it's a bigger environment, 3x3, it's still, I can't go and buy a nice normal circular fan, anything under than about 6-7 inches with a big clip, and there's nothing to clip it on in there. So it'll come. We'll get there. Nice. Xanadu, he's got some new fish. You got blue-eyed rainbows. They're exceptional. New male beta. Wonderful. Nice having you. So with that, my friends, I think we're going to cut it out for today. Maybe we'll do, we could do this again next week if everybody likes it. And if we're going to do it next week, what I'll do is I'll actually give a bit more notification, and maybe I'll start making some notes. You guys know me. I like to do more of kind of a focused live stream of a topic. It doesn't mean that I won't answer any questions as they come up, but maybe we can kind of figure out what we want to do. So as always, my friends, thank you kindly for joining me. Love it. I love that you're all here with me. For those that are going to be watching this after, thank you for watching and joining us, even though you couldn't when Biggs gave you super short notice and went live in the middle of the day. But thank you kindly anyways. So everyone, until next time, stay safe. Take care.